Happy holidays.
Happy
this
holidays.
is Heather and Ken show. Coming to you live from Gibby Some Green, our charter store in Matthews Mint Hill. And I don't know about you, I'm kind of excited for 2020 to come to a conclusion.
I can understand that.
I always like when years come to an end because I kind of feel like it's you going into a winter, like you hibernate in the winter, right? You kind of do some internal work and you sleep and you heal a little bit and you kind of slough off some stuff. And then when the sun starts to come out again, you're ready to hit the ground running. So I always kind of liked the end of the year in winter, but sadly, you guys, this is our last one this year. But don't worry, we're going to come back in January. We're not going too far. But today, we've got our Ken, and as you know, he is here the third Saturday of every month doing different topics. And this month, we are talking about
fatigue.
Ooh, okay. So I don't know how many of you have been tired recently, especially. I know that I've been exhausted. I get really tired after I eat. I feel like a baby. You know, like, do you remember you were little and you feed the baby and then they pass out and you're like, yes. It doesn't work so well when you're a grown-ass adult and you eat and then next thing you know, you pass out.
I need a nap now.
I'm like, I just ate. Like, we went out to dinner last night and on the way home, my husband drove because Heather was out. I tapped out. And he took over because I was out like a light.
She had too much.
I did. I pizzaed. It was awesome.
She pizzaed. It was too much from a little system. Yeah. You guys tired? I bet there's a lot of tired people out there.
Like, you wake up tired. You know, have you ever woken up tired and you're like, I don't understand this. I slept 8 hours. I don't know if we always get the sleep we think we're getting.
Well, that's part of the equation. You know, fatigue is a little... Let's talk a little bit about vernacular. You know, I want to I think it's all tired, exhaustion, fatigue. It's all pretty much just the same stuff, but there's levels to the game, right?
Yeah.
So
and different kinds of tiredness, right?
Absolutely. And different patterns that would let you know kind of what's imbalanced in your body, what some of the issues that you're having. And a lot of people here are talking a lot about adrenal fatigue these days. But the interesting thing about even adrenal fatigue is it's not isolated, right? It's not the only thing that's probably having a problem in your body. It's multiple systems, which is why it can be a little complicated to address on your own. Just because you may not know all the pieces of the pie that are causing this lack of energy. And that's what this all is about. This is all about lacking energy production, where you're leaking energy in your life, or where you're allowing things to pull energy out of you. So, you know, one of the first facts about dealing with fatigue is recognizing where the leaks. Where am I leaking energy? And
we're not talking just physical energy.
No,
we're talking mental energy too. Like, have you ever woken up and you're not physically tired? You can physically function, but your brain capacity, you're not completing the tasks, or maybe you're experiencing levels of overwhelm. Your brain's tired.
Or you have difficulty making decisions. Like, you're overthinking every little thing.
Okay, I'm a girl, so shoe shopping is always difficult for me.
Yeah, but you're not shoe shopping everything.
Just kidding.
Well, you probably need to take me shoe shopping. I go with my wife all the time. I'm really good at shoe shopping. So,
ladies, if you need shoe shopping advice, hit up Ken.
I haven't filled her yet. But yeah, the way that we go about accepting our tiredness, our lack of energy, is really the part of the problem. We live in a society where, you know, wake up early, go to bed late. The person that shows up early in the office and leaves last in the office, that's the hero. And these are the people that end up with the most debilitating bouts of fatigue, is high performers. You know, they are already naturally inclined to show up big in the midst of others. You know, they're that top 20% of people out there hustling and grinding and getting it done. And there's a cost. There's a cost when you don't know how to manage it, or if you're doing it out of a place that isn't truly serving you.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing that we have in our society is we wake up exhausted to go to a job we don't like, to spend, you know, 3/4 of our life in it, and we're pissed off while we're there.
And then we're pissed off when we get home because it took up so much of our time.
Right.
And then we're pissed off we have to go back to it.
Yeah, really doing things that, you know, I know anybody can say, yeah, you say that you're doing what you want to do in your life. I made a lot of sacrifices to do what I'm doing right now. I know she's made a lot of sacrifices to do what she's doing.
It is.
You have to love what you do. It's so important to get up and feel charged, because it's a chronic condition that you're building. Every day you're waking up angry.
Do you guys
upset.
remember Ally McBeal? Do you remember that show, Ally
Oh yeah.
McBeal?
I didn't watch much of that, but yeah.
Was the business bitch. Like I wore that crown, shining armor. I in my past life I worked for Motorola and IBM.
Yeah.
And try being a young, white, blonde female in an all-male world was a very different place to be. So I was the person waking up, arriving at 6,
Yep.
leaving at 6 o'clock at night, online till 2 o'clock in the morning, supporting my team overseas and all over the world. So I lived on what fuel I can put in to continue this train going at 180 miles an hour.
Right. You want to be superhuman.
Who can say caffeine? Let's do a Dora. Caffeine
Is a drug.
I lived on caffeine,
Is a drug.
chocolate, sugars, like things that could provide that. How many of you
Stimulants.
can agree with that? That provide that immediate
You want
gratification.
that right now.
So you can, and I know right now, like years ago when I'm talking about this, 5-hour energy shots didn't exist. Okay, those weren't a thing. Those came about later. We dealt with other things, and I know some people use Adderall to keep themselves going.
Gosh.
And we will have an entire talk. We're not going to touch base on Adderall today.
No.
It's a very big conversation. It's actually something that many of you have asked Ken and I to speak about. So
really?
that will be coming
Let's talk about
either
that
in
sometime.
January or February. That's going to be our talk.
I mean, because
So
that's
please
part of
come
the
back for
problem.
that.
And that's part of the problem with adrenal balancing is the aldotestosterone.
It's Adderall's a huge issue right now, but again, that's a topic in and of itself, and perhaps that should be our January one and just start talking about that, or I think February maybe, because January I've got some other things in mind.
That's fine.
But we will definitely do it on that. But I was that business bitch, if you will. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was making 6 figures and I was doing the work, but I did not enjoy my life. And it was my husband, who's probably one of the most calm people you'll ever meet. He's just so easygoing. Looked at me and he goes, "Are you even happy?"
Exactly. Are you just gunning?
And I remember looking at him and saying, "Screw you, I'm happy." How many of you done that? Screw you! Don't tell me I'm not happy. I have everything. I'm obviously happy, and I wasn't happy. And it was when we had our daughter, and my company politely laid me off.
Oh.
Wasn't that lovely?
Oh, that was sweet of them.
We're giving you a gift. We're laying you off because you're, and this is how it was worded to me, and I quote, "You're a mom now. I know you need to stay home." Oh, really? I was so angry at first because and many of you can relate to this, whether you're a man or woman, when someone tells you you can't, the first thing you want to do is do it better or more or harder. So I was really upset because I was not that person that designed my life around being a stay-at-home mom. It's not something
that wasn't your
that wasn't in my cards. I had lined up my business so that I would work 3 days in the office and the rest of the time from home. So in my eyes, I was home 4 days a week. That was more than I could ever ask for. I had set myself up in a way that I thought was going to be good. So, and then someone changed the key on me. I'm sure this has happened to everyone watching. And when that happened, I about lost my mind. I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? It was the best thing that ever happened to me because it made me realize happiness didn't come from that 6-figure job.
Yeah.
And it definitely didn't come from how much time I was putting in. So and that's a hard lesson to learn because I was raised poor. Like I went to resale shops. I remember shopping clearance aisles. Like that was how I was raised by a single mom who literally learned how to make ends meet in every way possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up with this sense of lack. And I'm sharing this story with you because this is the beginning of the exhaustion. This is the beginning of tired. It started at a young age being pre-programmed. You don't have enough. You have to work twice as hard as everyone else. We're poor. You got to work harder. You got to work harder. You got to work harder. So in adulthood, I translated all those messages into my life, and I became this Ally McBeal business bitch. And don't get me wrong, I did succeed on paper.
And that's what mattered, right?
But physically, I was shutting down. I was suffering from adrenal failure. I started to have thyroid issues. My weight was fluctuating. I was losing clumps of hair. I could go like this. People thought I was a cancer patient.
I think the biggest thing that you bring to light is the complexity of fatigue.
Yes.
Fatigue is not a one-trick pony. It's not just fix this one thing and everything is going to work out.
Yeah.
There are many lifestyle factors you're going to have to bring into balance. The first is your mindset, right? Your mindset has to change. How you go about sharing yourself with the rest of the world has to change, because you cannot fill an empty void while you're running.
No.
So there's going to have to be some significant shift in your life, because your energy is being poured into things that either you're burnt out at that point, and I see burnout in mineral pattern. I can look at a mineral pattern analysis and go, classic burnout. And Americans are I'd probably say 70% of the people I do exams on are burnout.
And that's interesting, and that's something else that's another topic that we're going to bring up in 2021 is the connection between medications and depleting our bodies with minerals, because
so simple.
And that's a whole nother topic as well. But there's a lot of different factors. So when we're exhausted, I told you I caffeined.
Yeah.
Now, what did Ken say? Do y'all remember? He said it's a drug repeatedly. Sugar, it's a drug. When we say drug interactions with your body's way of absorbing minerals,
oh yes,
that doesn't always mean a drug that comes in that little amber bottle that your doctor gave you. It also means the drugs that are in our foods are what we perceive as, and I say this with air quotes, we perceive as foods. So when you drink a lot of coffee, it depletes your body. And can you give us an example of one of those things?
It's going to push your magnesium levels to the floor. So if you're 3, 4, 5 cup coffee a day person, or if you're just a chronic coffee person but you are fatigued, coffee can lead. You need to remove your stimulants first. That's a very good first way to start. Gradually take yourself off of every stimulant possible. Even people that are doing healthy stimulants, but you're fatigued, they're no longer healthy anymore. So if you're looking at something
what do you mean by that?
like raw cacao, ceremonial grade cacao and things like that.
Right.
At first light, they look very beneficial to you, but anything matched with the wrong bio-individuality still can be a detriment to you.
All right, that's a big word for people, bio-individuality.
Yeah.
Even though it makes sense, and most of us know what it means, the minute we hear that, it's like, oh, over my head. So
you are specifically unique. It's just that simple. We have to stop pretending that me and Heather are going to be able to do the same things to get to a common place in health. There may be similar paths, but even if I'm looking at another man, that man has a different gene structure than I do. They have different habits that have affected that gene structure. I've done the same. I have different trauma than that person. All of this goes into relationship with how your endocrine system works and deals with stress, and how your central nervous system works, and whether you're going to be predominantly on a parasympathetic side or sympathetic side of that equation. So just make sure that you're able to do things and vet them for yourselves, not just because someone told you to do that thing.
Right.
Try it out and say, oh, that sounds interesting, do a little research on it and maybe give it a try and see, you know what, I do feel like I'm feeling a little better going down a particular trail. But if we're just talking about how, some simple things to just kind of evaluate your fatigue, right? You're feeling tired all the time. Are you happy? Start there. Are you happy with life? Are you a person that kind of wakes up happy but you're just tired?
Happy.
Are you feeling enjoyment from your life? Are you in a happy state? Do you have to push and struggle and fight to get to a place of sanity every day? If that's you, then you've got a lot of work to do. But you have to instantly just start taking inventory of what's robbing you now. Is it a relationship? Is it work? Is it your relationship with money?
Is it the holidays?
Is it the holidays? Is it
the virus?
Is it the virus? You're so caught up in this. Are you stuck? Are you stuck on scroll? Are you stuck on scroll and you can't get off?
How many of you pick up your phone first thing in the morning and lose 2 hours like that? Like that. It happens.
Stuck on scroll.
I've done it. I've lost it. Though today I did a healthy one. I sat there and I looked at my email. I had 10,000 emails. So I sat there.
You're so popular.
And it's all bullshit.
You're so popular.
It's all bull crap,
10,000.
I was like, what the hell is all this? And I started to look at it, and I know this sounds strange, but energetically, I'm carrying around 10,000 emails in my pocket on my phone. I'm like, I don't need this weight. And I sat there this morning, and I'm like, looked up all the people emailing me. And when I say people, I mean addresses, not necessarily individuals. Delete everything from them. Oh, Wayfair, gone. GoFobo, gone. And it felt so good. So that type of scrolling is healthy. You're deleting, you're shedding. But it's when you're, oh, what is Janie doing? What's James doing? Oh, he looks nice. And you go through this, and you're looking at other people's lives. Subconsciously, we're automatically comparing ourselves and putting ourselves in a past presence.
I like that whole scenario about that junk, electronic junk.
Yeah.
But then there's also the physical junk.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I remember, I've actually, I use a consultant in Charlotte for some of my clients that have stuff issues. They have too much stuff. And that's a big cause of anxiety for people. I have one client who, she's a senior, and she's getting so much mail that it's driving her. She's got all this anxiety and fear built up about mail, because seniors get pounded with offers and donation requests, and every scam in the book comes through their mailbox and on their phones.
Oh, and they're targets.
They're huge targets. And she was feeling all this stress, and I'm like, hired Leanne Hofer from Clutter Consultants right here in Charlotte. She's amazing and has helped her out tremendously. You never know where the major source is until you take a full inventory of what's going on. So, being integrative, holistic, and functional in what I do, that is a big part of the process, to get to know the person, take inventory, because yes, we're going to get you the right nutrients and the right diet plan, but that's just like 20% of it.
That's why
20%.
I'm a functional health coach. It's how are you functioning as a whole. So when we talk about energy, it's not just physical energy, it's mental energy, and we don't think about how many things deplete us. And I know at one point when you and I were talking about my energy levels, as a businesswoman, you're like, well, write down how you're feeling, and my immediate response was, fuck you, Ken. I don't want to write down how I'm feeling every day. I'm too busy for that.
Yeah.
But writing it down, like, he forced me, he's just like, just write 3 things a day. Something you're happy about, something you're not happy about, and something you want to change. Do you remember that assignment?
Oh yeah, just very simple.
3 things. What do you like? What don't you like? What do you want to change? And he's like, just do it for 7 days. 3 things. I don't care if it's one damn word. Like coffee, hate beans, change weight, whatever. But it started to allow me to focus on it. And I know we've talked to you guys 100 times about where you put your brain. What you think about, your energy flows.
That's
so
right.
What you think about, that's where your energy goes. So when you start thinking about what makes you happy and what doesn't, your energy starts to go there, and you start to pay closer attention to the things that can benefit your life. That's how it worked for me.
It's about becoming conscious. Those little things are just tools to raise your consciousness and your awareness. Because if you can't raise your consciousness, you're never going to be able to change your lifestyle.
No.
You're never going to become truly aware of who's driving this train in here, what kind of decisions are they making, and why are they making those decisions in the first place. And, we talk about this, and every one of my clients know this. We talk a lot about love in my world, because this is a big reason why people are having a lot of stress, is because they are not getting enough love. They are not loving themselves enough.
There it is. And we're not talking about love from others. It's about loving who you are. And I'm not saying look in the mirror every morning and tell yourself you love yourself. Though I really do think that could help.
It does help.
But just
do it
when we talk
if you
about
need to.
loving yourself. I mean, yeah, if you're willing to step out of that comfort zone, because I know for a lot of people that's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're willing to step out of that comfort zone, do it. But I'm talking about love yourself enough to acknowledge, I woke up this morning, take inventory. How do you feel when you open your eyes? What are you feeling right now? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling sad? Acknowledge that. Lean into it. Like, all right, you know what? I'm feeling stressed out already. What am I? Well, I literally just opened my eyes. What could possibly be putting a heavy weight on me? And think about where that thought's coming from, and ask yourself: are you really giving this day a brand new start?
Are you giving it a shot?
Or are you already? Did you just literally pick up where you fell asleep? Because sometimes sleeping is like our winter. It's your body's time to do a giant reset and start over. Can you imagine if you were running a marathon and after the marathon you fell asleep and they put you back where you stopped? Like they halfway through the marathon, all right, everybody go to sleep. And then in the morning you've got to pick up where you left off the night before in that marathon. Your energy level is different. Your mood is different.
Yes.
You are literally a different person than you were when they forced you to stop that marathon.
Mm-hmm.
Try to visualize that around the track. Everyone's saying stop. They put a little, like in golf, they put a little T there saying, okay, tomorrow morning you come back and start here. Wouldn't you rather start at the beginning of the race and give it a whole fresh start?
Yeah, no
So
baggage.
That's kind of like what we're suggesting right here. So those are some personal inventories you can do. So for energy, what other things can we talk about? I mean, other than our mindset, a lot of us fuel ourselves with energy.
Yes.
We think that we're automobiles and that we need to gas with taking in.
Energy production in the body is not more so. I don't think it's all about the fuel mentality of filling the tank.
Yeah.
I think it's more based on miles per gallon, to where it's not just what you're putting in the tank. It's the aerodynamics of the vehicle. It's, is a spark plug firing okay? It's all the systems. It's not just one thing or just one way of going about things, and that's to create harmony in your body. This in turn creates better energy production. I personally, within my studies, I just honestly believe that almost every health condition comes back to energy, because without energy you just can't do the things, number one. So even if I meet someone and like, I would love to go do X, Y, and Z to improve my health, and I want to drop 100 pounds or whatever, but they can't get out of bed. They're stuck in bed for an hour in the morning trying to will themselves out of it because their energy production is on the floor. We've got to look at systems, and to get a good look at systems, you look at nutrient levels in the body in the right manner, and then look at relationships.
And where are you losing energy? Like in that situation, I mean, and this happened to me earlier this week. I called Ken, I'm just like, I can't get out of bed. Like I am, literally takes me an hour to like psych up and get out of bed. And I wasn't physically missing energy. The energy I was missing was in my head.
Yes.
But
it's the same.
Like took over. And that's, you have to take inventory of that sometimes, because nobody is immune to this. Like Ken and I are not sitting in front of you saying we never.
I've had fatigue.
Like in the past 10 days.
I've had fatigue.
I
cope with it.
This is a constant thing that you have to work on to consistently be in check with your body. So it's not like all of a sudden you're like, oh, my adrenals are healed and I have energy, or, ooh, and it never happens again, like some weird fairy dust shit. That's not reality. It's something that you make a conscious effort to acknowledge every day. And I think that's like a giant misconception of people. They think, oh, I'm going to see this person, they're going to fix it, and then I'm done.
Oh,
that's just not the case.
Remember earlier I talked about there's levels, right?
Yeah.
And so, we've actually got some science behind the levels of fatigue, and recovery can vary greatly.
What are the different levels?
You're looking at like starter level, recovery, and all this really means is how bruised are your systems? How depleted are you, or how bad are the ratios between certain nutrient variables in your body? How off have they gotten? That's what really determines the level. And so, entry level recovery is about 6 months. Moderate to severe, you're looking at a minimum of a year or a little more. And then when you're talking about extreme, you're talking about 2 years of working on your body and your mind to bring your body back into equilibrium, because of how depleted and how off base or how traumatized your environment is, or how toxic it is. Because that's another piece of the puzzle to fatigue is toxicity, emotional toxicity and physical toxicity. So many people have a lot of buildup of toxins in their bodies. A lot of people start to experience fatigue in general once they start hitting their mid-30s in the United States. That's when they start feeling it, because now their lifestyles are starting to catch up with them a little bit.
And then they blame it. Oh,
I'm just getting old.
I'm in my
getting old in your 30s. I had a friend of mine tell me that when he was 33.
Stop.
I've got these problems because I'm getting old, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm 47 at that time. Come on.
Let's go.
Come on.
So, and it's funny too, because my daughter's 15, and I can't remember what we were doing some kind of workout, and I outdid her, and I looked at her and said, are you serious right now? How am I, you're 15. How am I outdoing you right now? But your body, I mean, think of energy stacked up, right? So when you're born, think of a stack of books. They're all perfectly aligned, and they make a perfect stack. But as we start to experience life, this is Heather's analogy that Ken will probably fix. As we start to go through life, it's kind of like Jenga. This book moves a little bit to the left, and then maybe we get pulled for school, work, spouse, and the next book gets pushed a little bit to the right.
Alignment. And
then all of a sudden you gain weight, and then the next book up gets a little to the left or one to the back. Over time, we start to look like a Jenga tower, where instead of being like this, we've got all of these books out of alignment in space.
And think about that.
This is what affects your energy. So if
No
your
flow.
energy flows up and down, right? If energy flows from point A to point B, and you've got all of these things out of whack, I mean, hey guys, let's think of Christmas light strands, shall we? How about that one light bulb that goes out and none of the freaking lights work, and your whole tree's out, and you're like, the profanity that can spew out of your mouth at that point? That's kind of what we're talking about. It's not age, it's life experiences start to put your books out of place, or start to unscrew your light bulbs, whichever analogy that you can relate to first.
Sure.
So being able to acknowledge, don't see it as I'm older, I'm stressed, or I'm physically challenged, I'm stressed, or I'm depressed.
A defeatist type of mentality.
Think of that stack of books again, and just say, my books are out of alignment. Which ones do I need to put back in place? So energy is a lot deeper than just getting up and getting with it.
That's right.
There's so much more.
And I think the you challenge us into what comes first. Was it a nutrient depletion? Was it a trauma thing that causes this? Or which one of those entities kind of really became a catalyst to push you through? And like Heather was saying with the alignment part, I tend to look at the body like a sponge. You first get a sponge to use it. It's very clean and fresh. It soaks up stuff very easily, and it releases things very easily, right? So it soaks up and releases, whether that's nutrients, whether that's toxicity. It fights hard, but over time, if we don't take care of that sponge, like me in the kitchen, I just kind of throw it back in the sink. My wife hates me for that. Then the little circles start to break down. It starts to get a little funky. It doesn't absorb things as well, and it doesn't release them as well either. And so we got to think about those types of processes that are happening in the body that are just systemically breaking down because of overwhelm. We're just putting too much stress on the body and on the system, and not enough releasing opportunities. Just adding and adding and adding and adding. I can do this next thing. I'm going to put this thing. I'm going to do this project. And you're already exhausted.
How many of you have been like, I'm almost done. I just got 2 more. My husband we're redoing the floors in our living room. So this is a great example. And I really sincerely hope many of you can relate to this. But we're doing the floors, and I'm like, this is a great stopping point. And he's like, no, I got to do 3 more. And 3 hours went by. And he goes, and now it's bedtime. How many of us get into that, I could just squeeze 1 more out, but you feel that your body is getting out of whack? Like, I don't know how many of you can really relate to this, where you're getting stressed, you're getting hangry, you're reaching the end of your brain. Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas.
You're reaching the end of all that, but you just keep
on pushing
through. And then at the end, you wonder why you feel a sense of lack. You should feel like, woo, I got it done, but you don't. You look at it and you see the accomplishment, but you don't feel the accomplishment because you have exhausted yourself.
Exactly. There was no benefit to you.
I've done it.
After it was done.
All day long I've done it. And it's hard for us because I think as a society, Ken, we're trained. Go. If you can do one. Why wait till tomorrow if you can do it today? Do you know why you should wait till tomorrow? Because you haven't enjoyed a damn thing for yourself today. And that thing that you need to do, it'll still be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
If it's worth anything, what I've learned, and I think it was the hardest thing I had to learn with my journey with you, is allowing myself to look at something and say, that can wait till tomorrow. It will be there. And here's a newsflash. If it doesn't wait till tomorrow, chances are it wasn't really important enough anyway.
Right.
Because all the important things can Wait, now I'm not saying there's a lot of things though that are important that you have to get done that day. Okay, so please don't.
I want to talk to my moms out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I think moms really carry the most fatigue out of men. Between men and women, women carry way more than men do, and it's because they tend to take on a lot more than men do. Just in the traditional sense, don't judge me on this, guys. I'm just kind of stating the reality, and that is, women still drive the family. You know, they are the matriarch of the family. I know in my home, big part of my survival is my wife, or I would not survive. So they're working, they are managing the home, they are hitting the grocery store, they may be running businesses, but they take on this ownership of the family just in a really heavier way traditionally than men do. And I'm not going to beat up on guys, but a lot of guys are kind of checked out on family. It's I see this a lot in a lot of clients that I work with. In some of their relationships, they're just not carrying as much load or near as much load.
That's how you're made, though.
It can be how we're engineered, but what I'm trying to really say is you need a methodology that supports your abundance of output, and you need to check it and make sure that you're trying to be a little more realistic with it, so that you're recognizing you have to go the distance, so that you don't end up in your 50s and go, why is my body broken?
Right.
And, and you look back and you're like, my kids are raised, I have all these accomplishments, but you're 50 now and you got nothing in the tank. Your body's fighting against you at every waking opportunity. Everything you try doesn't seem to work, and this is going to require some discipline and diligence and planning and mapping things out for you, and quite a bit of change.
And that could be changing your expectations. So
seriously,
I want to share something with you. I just got done with a Date with Destiny training with Tony Robbins. My husband and I take this, and this topic, the men and women topic, was talked about.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Tony said, which really resonated with me, and I hope I can translate this well enough for those watching, is that men are different than women, period.
We are.
How many of you have women out there, I'm speaking to, have expectations of your spouse and you don't even realize it? And then when they don't do it, you start to build resentment up. How many of you come home from work and your husband's sitting on the couch and there's dishes in the sink and you're like, seriously? Like, you couldn't do that? We had an expectation. He didn't know about it. As far as he's concerned, and I point to you because you're the man in the room at the moment, he went to work and he did what he was supposed to do. And he's like, I've done my thing today. It's not that he doesn't want to help you. It's just that there's he doesn't understand your expectations of him. So oftentimes we get upset, and that overwhelm creates lack of energy as well. But men traditionally are built different. In the wild, the male species, I don't care what species, human, tiger, doesn't matter. Men hunt. So when you're a hunter, what happens? You're quiet. You don't engage.
You're stealthy.
You're stealthy. You go out, you stand in a tree, you hunt, you bring the kill home with a smile on your face, like that cat that brings home the mouse all the time. It's like, and you're like, and here's the food. But women are gatherers, and they protect the village while the men are hunting. And this is true with various species. I'm not trying to generalize women versus men, but this is science. This is like go into anything.
How we're built.
So women of females of various species, they protect and they hunt, right? So when you protect a village, what scares predators away? You get loud. You talk a lot and you get loud because it scares people away. So women talk a lot, but men are hunters. Try to put your mind in this. Men are hunters. They don't talk. They're not going to respond to stress the way you are going to respond to stress. So men carry it differently than we do. They carry their energy differently, and we carry our energy differently. So this is important to understand, because a lot of energy suckers and a lot of stress that happens tend to happen, you said, in the 30s. Well, what happens in our 30s? We get married and we have kids.
Well, stressful time in your life.
And that, it starts to create this circle. And this is just one of the layers that Ken was talking about. But what I have found, that once once Tony kind of brought this to light for me and I started realizing things, when I come home, I will look at something that would normally upset me and I ask myself, is my husband just being a man? Did he understand the expectations I wanted of him? Or did I not convey my expectations properly? Because remember what I said, men are hunters. They don't talk. They shut down and they focus on the one task. I need to kill this food and bring it home for my family. Whereas women, they talk and they share information. They share, they bark, they talk to scare away predators. And that is how women actually deal with stress. We talk through it. It's our nature.
Yep.
And that's all females. That's why female birds sing. It's a whole process. So
and most men need solace.
when you feel that overwhelm, ask yourself, what expectations are you putting on yourself and the others around you that they don't even know about, that you're then internalizing, and it's zapping your energy?
Yeah, it takes it right out.
I know that might be slightly digressing, but for me, that helped bring a lot of energy back into my life.
It's all
when
about
I
finding
can
the lead.
disconnect my expectations of others. Because I found the expectations I was putting on other people unconsciously were zapping me of my own energy.
For sure.
Both mentally and physically. Because what happens when we don't get our expectations met? We immediately start to get pissed. And that pissed starts a cortisol response, starts an adrenal response. Now I've got physical fatigue where I didn't have it 5 minutes ago.
You created it.
I created it. So I just wanted to share that with you. Hopefully that
And
little
most of
nugget
us
helps
do.
someone.
And most of us do create it. Some other things to be aware of, right, about fatigue and how it can come to light for you, what it might be indicative of, something else going into your body. Blood sugar misregulation, even cardiovascular issues, because your adrenal glands, they sit right on top of your kidneys. That's two of the trifecta of the cardiovascular system, with kidneys, adrenals, and the heart working in symbiotic relationship with each other. So actually, moderate to severe fatigue could also be someone with low blood pressure, right? Dizziness, dizzy spells. You could have other viral conditions that are contributing to your fatigue. Mold could be contributing to your fatigue. This is why a good, thorough understanding and going through different aspects of who you are, learning what environment are you in, where are you from, looking at some labs, figuring things out that way, and then looking at, the basic stuff, what are you putting in your body, how are you eating, are you resting or not? Again, reevaluating your relationships. Are you exercising? Are you getting some type of release and stimulus? Are we getting sunlight? Are we connecting with nature, right? And I think, honestly, I feel like nature is one of the fastest ways to bring your adrenals back into balance. It's just instantaneous for me, and a lot of people that I say, hey, I know it might seem crazy, but there's woods all around you. Just go walk in some. Just go sit down in some woods for a minute. Absolutely, there is.
So, and that's actually a great segue. So, in 2021, Ken and I have been doing a lot of work this year, both in our personal businesses and jointly with our businesses that we share together. And one of the things is Ken is going to be launching an entire program in 2021. So please stay tuned. We are going to talk a little bit more about that in January when he's ready to launch it.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a whole segment where he can share that with you. But we here at Give Me Some Green are also launching some things to support his journey. And we're bringing in some pretty intense scans. So I know when Ken said, what about your environment? Some of you are questioning, well, how the hell do I measure the mold? There's a lot of different modalities that we can bring to light for you. I know here at Give Me Some Green, we're supporting Ken and his people with wellness scans through a company called Zyto, and we're really excited. We just brought in a whole new system so we can scan for generalized wellness scan, but we're going to be able to do food sensitivities, immune sensitivities, and environmental sensitivities, as well as lifestyle. So those scans are coming in, and they're non-invasive. We don't do blood work. We don't have to send it away. It's a galvanized skin test. So we're bringing all of those tools in to better support Ken's clients, as well as more in-depth testing where Ken can take blood, take fecal matter, hair samples. Those are some of the more biological tests that Ken does. So we're doing a lot of things to support each other, and we do this together so that we can support you. You are our community, and you guys are really the reason that we do all this. It started selfishly. I own it because I wanted to heal myself, But once we learned, I mean, me specifically, and I know you and I have talked about this, once I learned how to heal myself, I really just want to give it to all of you.
And that's the whole point. And that's like one of the biggest commitments. If you ever think about working with a guy like me, it's like one of my biggest commitments that I ask of whoever works with me is that you are willing to be a beacon for other people. Because what may seem, once you have it, you've got your thing, right? Hopefully some people have watched you change over time and become a bit attracted to it. It also kind of locks you into a lifestyle. You know that, yeah, people have been watching you. It's a little peer pressure, and we all need a little peer pressure to represent what we want to see in the world, okay? So it's easy for people to fall back on their laurels or to give up on things as they're going through their health journey. Heather, you haven't. You've done very well in your health journey.
But I didn't do it alone.
It's a point.
I have a partner, and it doesn't need to be me, and it doesn't need to be Ken. It could be anybody to help keep you in check. Anyone that's on a health journey with you. Like, don't use your mom as a partner if your mom sits on the couch all day and drinks coffee. She's not going to be a great partner for you. She'll be a great support system,
right.
And there's a difference between someone that supports you and someone that's willing to walk the journey with you. So, and that's okay. And that's one thing I learned during this process. You've got your right hand and you've got your left hand. And in one hand, you've got all the people that are your tribe. They're walking the journey with you. Ken is my tribe. He walks the journey with me. I could call him at any point, and he's like, I got you, girl. Woo! You got this. And then I've got my support system. And they love me, but they don't understand my journey. And that's okay. Because I think sometimes we want these people to, come on, I want you to get healthy with me. You got it, you got it, you got it. They don't want to, and that's okay, but they love you, and if you can just accept the love they have for you and understand that they're not part of your tribe that's going to carry you along, and that's okay too. But that is why I don't work for IBM anymore. I don't work for Motorola anymore, because I discovered a different layer of happiness and well-being that I wanted to share with the world, and money couldn't buy that. But the time I was willing to give could. And that's why I ended up shifting gears and starting this wellness community and working with wellness partners like Ken and like Jennifer, who you saw last week, and several others that we'll be bringing to you, because you deserve to be well. You deserve to be happy. This is what your life is meant to be. And however I can bring that to you, and whoever I can bring to you to help you see that, that's really my goal, which is why we bring Ken in monthly, just to constantly remind you. Maybe you don't have an accountability partner, but know that you've got Ken and I on the third Saturday of every month to talk to you, to boost you out, and to share a way with you or some new topic to help you heal and take care of your own wellness. Because like Ken always says, wellness is within you. So let us teach you how to tap into that. It's really important.
Yeah.
So someone watching this today, and knowing that we have all these resources, if they, what is the big takeaway you want them to have about energy right now? Like if they leave, okay, I want to get a hold of my energy. What are some like 3 top things that you can recommend for them?
First thing is, the biggest thing that affects humans is other humans. Evaluate your human relationships. Are they costing you a lot?
And what are your expectations?
Yeah.
Are they costing you because you're putting unrealistic expectations on someone else?
Can I share a story about that real quick?
Please.
So one of the first clients I worked with when I first started my business about just over 3 years ago was she was having a lot of urination issues. She was peeing like 20 plus times a day, right?
Moms,
just a lot.
It happens to us.
And we determined it really wasn't a physiological meltdown. Her parts worked right. But when we delved deeper, we were able to find out that she had this really crazy expectation of her husband, because she quit smoking 10 years before he was still smoking. And it drove her crazy to live with him. And she woke up with that anguish, and it festers all day long. And I kept listening to her talk about her husband, and one day I said, why don't you just let him be in control of himself, because he always will be. Why are you trying to pretend like you can control him? You can't, right? And after doing a little work on that, within a week, she was peeing more again. She had to release something. That's what I'm saying. This body is amazing because our thoughts manifest trauma and problems and health issues within us. They cause gut issues. They can be contributing factors to inflammation because all stress requires nutrients. Whether you're running from a lion or whether you're sitting in your chair pissed off at the virus.
Your body doesn't know the difference.
Doesn't know.
And that's a great way to put it. And it's funny because I was we work with a lot of veterans here. I'm not veterinarians, veterans. I'll preface that. But I was talking to a veteran who explained to me that I'm sure many of you have heard about the video game Halo. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone knows that video game. That video game was originally developed for the military to psychologically train for warfare. Because our bodies don't know the difference. And there's a lot of science on this. Joe Dispenza has done a great deal of work on this. I know Tony Robbins has tapped into this. You can literally cause your body to react just by thinking of something. There was an entire study. So Halo was invented so that the military could psychologically train their warriors so that they were desensitized in the event of an actual war. Now all of a sudden, we've given this video game to our 10-year-old sons and daughters, and then we wonder why their anxiety is through the roof and why they're becoming desensitized. Now, I'm not saying one equates the other as far as violence. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that our brains don't understand the difference, and that stress response presents itself whether you are just thinking about the stressor or physically experiencing the stressor. That stress response, that adrenal response, that cortisol response is taking place.
That's why they say anxiety is mainly being overly concerned with the future, and depression is being overly concerned with the past. And because you're still bringing in thinking of the future, you're making stuff up in your own mind. So you're creating the demons, you're creating the problem, and now your ego and your mind has something to play with. Right? And then now you can be depressed about things that happened in the past you can't fix, but the ego just loves a problem. So whether it's in the past or present, doesn't really matter as long as it has one to play with to use up.
It's a program.
Yeah.
So here's the cool thing, and anything has two sides. Video games can be good, video games can be bad.
Yeah.
Okay? TV can be good, TV can be bad. Coffee can be good, coffee can be bad. Everything has two sides, and I know
always an axis.
We've spent a lot of time talking about the downside, but let's talk about the positive side. So flip that. Now that you know that you can consciously create a response in your body because your body doesn't know the difference, what if you use that in your power? What if you started thinking about and training your body to be happy, to be healthy, instead of thinking thoughts, why am I so this? Because I know that causes a lot of stress too. Oh, why am I so poor? Why can't I have more? Ask a different why question. Why am I so fucking happy every day? Why am I so filled with love? Why is the sun so beautiful? Start asking different why questions because your body will respond to them. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but try it for 3 days. Try changing. Catch yourself.
And the biggest way to catch it. The biggest
Can I
way
give them homework?
Well, the biggest way to catch it is as soon as you see a negative thought come in, activate what Heather says. Stop that negative thought as soon as it comes in your brain, whether it's about a memory or about something you're making up in the future that hasn't happened, that hasn't manifested, but you're trying to make it happen. You're trying to create your own hell. Get back to what Heather just said.
Interrupt that. That's my challenge for you.
That's a good challenge.
Ken's going to give you homework today too to think about, but my homework for you is if you catch yourself thinking, think about the thoughts that you have every day. Which ones are repetitive? Which thoughts do you consistently have over and over and over and over again? So, I don't have enough coffee. I don't have enough toilet paper. That's a thought of lack. So I want you to pay attention to that. So, okay, I'm just saying. But for some people that's stressful. But pay attention to the thoughts that you constantly think, and think about how is this changing my physiology? What is my physical response to that? And then try to flip it. I'm not saying those things are going to go away. I'm just saying frame them differently.
Yeah.
Remember, you don't have to live this life. You get to. And when you shift that a little bit, that one, I don't have to do something, I get to. Like Josh works with us, and you know, he's an actor, and he was doing a film. Josh, I'm sorry, I'm sharing your story.
It's all right.
And it didn't record. They did take after take, and it was beautiful. Like they were ready to go, and something happened to the recording. And Josh came in, and he's like, "I have to redo all this." I'm like, "Do you have to, or do you get to?" Because when you reframe it as "I get to," you get an opportunity to do it better. You get an opportunity to do it better even than you had before. You get an opportunity to maybe change it. So you don't have to do all these things. You get to. And it's even he said the minute I changed it, his whole physiology changed. He's like, yeah, I get to redo this, and I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to do this. And he started.
Because his mind self completely shifted his energy.
It shifted. So that's my task for you. But what is some homework you have for everyone watching and who will be watching?
You're tired. You're tired where I talk about, let's start taking out the trash. Relationships, get them right. Okay? Maybe you have to pull away for a little bit, find out what works for you. Focus on the relationships first, right? Next thing, still working on toxicity. Get your food right. I'm just going to tell you to go not eat processed foods. Stop with too much alcohol and stimulants specifically. Get off the stimulants. The energy drinks, coffee, they're not serving you. They're wrecking you. They're tearing you down bit by bit, and they make recovery from fatigue pretty much impossible. So you're not going to recover from fatigue while you're constantly putting stimulants in your body, because you already have an overburdened system that's already on peak.
We're not saying never.
Never, but you need to recover.
Yeah.
You need to take a break, a long break, so that your systems can realign, so that whatever is causing depletion of those particular nutrients, like I know that your potassium and sodium are going to be way out of whack if you're fatigued. This is chronic, that's normal, okay? Your copper production or bioavailable copper in your body is going to be at an all-time low. And that's the key to energy, is really copper. It is number one component. It's very hard to maintain good balance with, because it's just not balanced in our lifestyle.
No.
So it's a challenge to get it right. Yeah, even working with a guy like me, but if you have discipline, you can get through it.
Remember, copper top batteries, people.
For real.
Copper is energy.
And if your body's not able to get copper connected to ceruloplasmin from your liver, which is just a protein, then you're not going to make good energy. And that's kind of the game that I help people solve there. Get outside. I don't care if it's cold. Go outside. Go outside. Go get air. Go get what sunlight you can. Go sit next to a tree. Go breathe.
And we'll make this in layman's terms.
Yeah, breathe.
When you go outside, there's a lot of science, and we can get really, really deep on it. But in essence, is when you're sitting in front of an electronic, and we appreciate that you are right now watching us because we're sharing information. But when you're under lights and you're staring at electronics, it emits a signal, a wave that your body, being a biological body, is absorbing. When you can get outside and remove yourself from the electronic energy, it really does give you the opportunity to recharge. And that's just layman's terms. There's a lot more science that talks about it, but just so you can understand, it's just you're getting away from all the electrical waves.
And then remove toxic imagery from your life. Start detoxifying the violence that you watch on screen and that you read and that you listen to in your car, okay, or wherever you're at. If you're constantly violence in the music you're listening to, violence in what you're watching, you're just putting that in, okay, and it's meant to cause you to get amped.
Yeah. Remember the story I told you about military.
Yeah.
It's designed
it's like a form of porn. Okay? Porn creates a physical response. You're watching porn, it creates a physical response. You're watching violence, it's creating a physical response. You've had too much of that stimulation, you need to watch a nature show.
You watch a Hallmark show, it creates a physical response.
You need to go watch some water, trickling down on leaves. Pull up a Calm app, okay? Take in something a little more calming for your nature.
And I think...
and give yourself time.
You
can't rush this.
Do that 3-question thing that Ken had me do in the beginning. It was like, it was the bait. That was a year ago that he told me to do that. Every day, before you get out of bed, Think of one thing that makes you happy, just one thing. I don't care if it's, I like my toothbrush. If it makes you happy, ride that toothbrush wave. Think of one thing that makes you happy, one thing that doesn't. Truly acknowledge it. And I think sometimes we forget to acknowledge what doesn't make us happy. The sooner you acknowledge what doesn't make you
be
happy,
honest.
the sooner you can let that thing go.
It's okay. Be honest.
You have to
You don't
acknowledge
like
the
it.
good and the bad. So that's my homework for you. One, pay attention to your thought patterns. And what is your common thought? Two, think of 3 things every day. What makes you happy? What doesn't make you happy? And what's one thing you like to change? That's it. And see after a week or two how acknowledging these two things I'm sharing with you make you feel, along with some of the things that Ken said. Pay attention to what you're eating. Like, really pay attention to what you're eating. And then we're not saying don't ever have a beer again. We're saying maybe not 5 a day. Maybe take a break.
Evaluate your relationship.
Maybe try having 1 cup of coffee and switch to tea. Because I know for a lot of people they say, oh, I just like drinking something warm. Tea's fantastic. Sure. Try drinking tea. Even black tea is better than coffee, believe it or not.
It's a step. It's definitely a step in the right direction. Yeah.
So
lower the
all
dose.
These things can help. And then, of course, we can say the obvious. Get some damn sleep.
Don't go to sleep. Adults don't want to go to sleep. But that's
sleep.
Honestly how you fix things. Oh, and here's the biggest thing I want to leave about those that are experiencing fatigue. It's real. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. Get as much rest as you can. Don't worry about what other people think about you. You're overworked internally, and
physically.
No one else can see it but you. You are sick, and you need to move in that manner and stop pretending like you're not, because it'll keep driving you further down the rabbit hole to something I call total body meltdown. And you don't want to get there.
No, I've been there and it sucks.
You don't want to be there.
It's not fun. So for all of you watching, thank you so much again for tuning in. We love talking to you guys.
Yeah.
We love talking to you, Jen. But we love talking to you guys, and we love sharing with you, and we love that we can be a resource for you, not only today for those that watch live, but for years to come. Again, this is always streamed on Get Me Some Green's YouTube page. I know Ken usually shares the links as well.
Yep.
So even if you missed it today, you can watch it on YouTube. We don't take this stuff down, and YouTube does not take it down either. So it'll be there, and it's always live on Facebook. So until next month, happy holidays, happy New Year, and we will see you in January.
All right, take care, everybody.
Bye, everybody.